Sure. Sons of the Flag, we are the only collective, comprehensive, and inclusive effort for burn care nationwide. What Sons of the Flag, what we say is we like to honor veterans and first responders by revolutionizing burn care for all Americans. Sons of Flag is really important to me. One, it's an opportunity to be able to give back to the community. Two, it's really important because the more that I've learned being a part of the organization about burns and what a horrific injury that it is, and what little is being focused on it nationwide, it's important to me to be able to help our veterans, help our first responders, and at the same time be able to help civilians. Nobody plans on getting burned. You don't wake up one day and say, "Oh, this is the day I might get burned." It's always going to be an accident. It's always, a lot of times, it's an extreme lifetime injury. Burns is somewhat of a niche specialty to focus on as a non for profit, but it's something that we found the more that we've gotten into it, the more people that we find that are burned a year. Is 486,000 people every year that get burned. About 40,000 plus of those have lifetime follow up and injuries. And something that we as a society have not focused on because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to go through the burn process, to be burned, to look at somebody that's burned if you don't have any experience with them. And so there's just has not been a kind of a collective effort for burns nationwide. And we felt like this would be an incredible niche for us to be able to focus on and to really be able to give back to the community at large that really kind of gets neglected. So it was started with a focus on veterans, but it quickly moved to a focus on first responders, firefighters as well, because they get burned daily. And then as we continue to evolve as an organization, we figured if we can honor veterans, we can honor first responders, we can help revolutionize burn care for all Americans. So it doesn't matter if you're somebody in sales, somebody in the restaurant industry, you're a firefighter, you're a military veteran, a burn is a burn.
During the pandemic, you were able to increase revenue, and the charity saw more patients than ever before. How did that happen?
So the pandemic was a tough time for every single nonprofit that's out there, and it was a tough time for us as well. But what really allowed us to be able to step up as an organization was we had some of our donors come in early during the pandemic, when we all could kind of see this is not we're not going to be having events, we're not going to be able to raise the type of funds that we are historically used to being able to raise. And so the help of our longtime donors really got us to the place where we could stabilize and feel good about keeping the lights on throughout the year. And so from that point, we were able to really add to the number of patients that we saw over the past year, because there was just a tremendous amount. Unfortunately, there's a tremendous amount of need for people to get burned. 73% of burns happen in the homes, and 24% of those burns are kids. And so with everybody over the last 12 months being at home a lot more so, more we don't have any metrics as to exactly how many more people have burned, but you got to think kind of logically that more people will be burned because more people are at home. So we're really able to step up our game over the pandemic and really help our patients. We had to fight through a lot of the elective surgeries being put on hold with everything that's happened with COVID. So it was a battle. It was an every single day battle for us, but we were able to really get through and make it through stronger than we started out the pandemic, but not without a lot of blood, sweat, and tears internally.
So you talk about that growth really means seeing more patients, being able to care for more people, and expanding your mission. Where do you see opportunities for growth for the nonprofit over the next few years?
There is a lot of opportunities for us to grow. We would love to be as an organization to be able to be put out of business because that means burns would not happen anymore. But we're a long time away from that happening. So where we see opportunities for us to grow is to really we have some core focus that Sons of the Flag. We have a mission reconstruct freedom. It's our hero project that helps veterans and first responders specifically. We have fellowships. We're hiring new doctors in the burn community. We're hiring fellows coming out of residency, and then survivor support. We've always done survivor support. That's a big focus of what we do, is to be able to help burn survivors and their families kind of get through the initial newness and horrificness of okay, a relative or somebody that is burned. Now what? To be able to be that kind of central support. And really, one new area where we've been able to grow is focus on pediatrics. And so we have one of our One of the doctors on our advisory board, we've started this year through him and his program at the hospital that he leads, the burn unit. We started a pediatric program called EJ's Kids. So that's really been able to help us come around full circle to be able to help veterans, first responders, civilians, all Americans, and then also with a focus on pediatrics. What was working before the pandemic was we had always, I would say probably 2 years before the pandemic, we had always done things a certain way, meaning we didn't have a lot of kind of strategy and structure. We'd always kind of put everything together and just gone about our process of who we are without maybe necessarily direct line of sight into it. And so, really, probably 2 years before, we decided like, hey, we're kind of missing some layups here, and we really need to grow up if we feel like as an organization we can be 3 or 4 or 5 times where and who we have historically been. So. What we were able to do is come in, hire an outside consulting group that really helped us fine tune and think through. We have to have representation from the board. We have to be able to have our organization be able to deliver quality, interesting, sustainable a model of who we are and how we're impacting and making a difference in the community at large. And we feel like we've done a really good job of working through the pandemic and having to put a pause on a campaign that we were getting ready to launch right before. An amazing campaign. We're really excited about it. The timing didn't work out with thanks to COVID. So we put that on a pause, but it's really given us a chance to kind of take apart the way that we've always done things and really build it back together and come back out of this thing a lot stronger than we were going into it. One of the things that we've done that's been really interesting. So our constituents, our patients, are burn survivors, and one thing that we've been able to do is have we call it a survivor story. So in between board meetings, we'll have somebody with a really powerful story, a patient that we've helped serve, come in and tell their story, to the board, and really kind of go through what it's like to be burned, how the accident happened, what they've had to go through, and what their outlook is on today. And it's some of the most powerful stories I've ever heard in my life. And so that's really a way to help engage our board. So a lot of people on our board. We do have one burn survivor, and then we have another gentleman on our board whose father has been burned twice and had to go through some pretty major extensive surgery. So we have a couple first and second hand degrees, and then the Ryan Parrott was burned in the military as well. So we have some actual people that have been burned, but for the rest of us, like myself, who is not, to be able to really hear firsthand from some folks that stories are just, I mean, if you don't have tears in your eyes after listening to it, they're so inspirational, and their outlook on life, where they are now after going through 40, 60, 80 different surgeries to get to where they are and still have a positive outlook. That's been really incredible for our board, really to come together.
What are some of the top priorities for the board over the next year that'll be most beneficial to your nonprofit's mission?
We want to continue to expand. We want to really hit our pediatric EJ's Kids, our new pediatric program. It's important for the board to do that. We've had some feedback from some of our corporate organization donors and some individual donors that we have is, hey, how can we help get more involved in the community with kids? And so this is our way to be able to address that. We really try to be incredibly inclusive with. It's wide open. Like, there is no such thing as a bad idea. And so I would also add to that in terms of our board itself, we have really taken stride on being inclusive and adding to not just who we have always been as a board. We're that way just because, but really been a lot more thoughtful and diligent as to who we have on the board. Not just because we've known somebody for a long time and they're a good person, but to actually kind of think through who are some folks that can add, that can really help expand upon our thought, and really help us grow into the community at large and bring some of the thought and some of the other strategy that they've had, throughout their career. So we've put a lot of intentionality onto who we have on our board.